What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After what seems like months of anticipation, well, to me anyway, the Basso SV is finally here. And this past weekend, I had the pleasure of being able to take the bike out on two distinct rides, totaling up about 90 miles. But those two rides gave me a lot of insights into the bike and a lot of revelations, and I'll be able to share my initial ride impressions with you. About 2 months ago, when we did the initial launch of the bike, I did a deep dive video where I went over a lot of the philosophies and what I think Basso was trying to accomplish with this new approach to performance rides. And I'll share a link to that video so that you can watch that, because I gave a lot of information about the bike that I'm simply not going to cover on this video, because I simply want this to be a focus on how I felt riding the bike initially. Now, I'm going to make a very bold claim about this bike. Then we're going to settle down, and then I'm going to talk about what it was like to ride the bike, basically my experience. This is probably the best bike that I have ever ridden overall, and that includes the Specialized Tarmac SL8, which I had on the channel last year. And now, before you start throwing stuff at your computer or your television, I'm going to post a link to the video on the Specialized Tarmac SL8 so that you can see how I felt about that very fine machine. And I know that both of these bikes have a very different approach to performance riding, but the idea is to get you to go as fast as possible, as comfortably as possible, and I simply think that the Basso SV does it better. But Specialized Tarmac SL8, respect. Now, I was able to pick up this Sempre Veloce from Nick Vargas and his crew over at Revolt Cyclery in Sunrise, Florida, which is a boutique bike shop featuring some very nice brands like Officin Matteo, Scarab, and other fine brands. Nick was very impressed with the build quality of the SV, and I would have to agree. You know, for the last 8 months, I have been living with the Basso Diamante, which is Basso's flagship bike, and recently having an opportunity to travel with the bike, breaking it down and fitting it into my bike box, I peered inside the tubes. I've got to say, the internal construction of these tubes is flawless. So, by the way, Nick is a Basso dealer, so you will find the Basso brand at his shop. One of the concerns that I had about the bike that I shared on my deep dive video was this. When I looked at the geometry chart, I was just really put off by the size 53 having a 150 centimeter head tube. Like, no, that's not me. I'll be perched up high. When I got the bike home, I took my tape measure and measured the bike's dimensions on the ground and compared it to some of the other bikes that I normally ride. And I don't know how they managed to work that out with this and the shrinking of this area right here by the fork crown, but it simply works. But more significantly, when I'm on the bike, it fits like a glove. And that's really what matters. All right, the first ride I was able to do was the ride for International Women's Day. And please indulge me on this, guys. This is a 55-mile mid-tempo ride led by women. The guys come out just to support and make sure that the ride goes off without a hitch. But the women pull the entire ride, and they're usually maintaining a pace of 21 to 23 miles an hour. This gave me an opportunity to become familiar with the basic characteristics of the bike, like initial push-off, how it rolled along on the flat, and just some of the general behavior characteristics of the bike. Initial ride impressions. It was very easy for me to get into a comfortable riding position. The bike feels solid, well made. You can feel the quality right away. The push-off, excellent. The bike is very efficient. It's not like one of them eager race bike type of thing. It's just a solid, confidence-inspiring bike.
Happy one Monday!
Guys are awesome. As mentioned, I was there lending support and assisting and taking some video shots of the group. So I got the opportunity to see how the bike handles and accelerates. It's a fast bike, very responsive without being twitchy. The bike is easy to accelerate and is very steady at speed, and is also very composed while I accelerated one-handed taking these video shots. All right, secondary initial impressions. It's very nimble and very maneuverable. The Diamante is a very steady as she goes kind of a bike. This bike, it's like if you need to respond to something that was in the road or something, just not like a major swerve, but just a slight deviation or adjustment of your line. This bike does that really well. It's very nimble in that regard. It's almost like a crit bike in that regard. I did do some cornering that were kind of like slow speed cornering, so I'm gonna do my corner assessment later when I do a more detailed thing. But one thing about the bike is that everybody is like eyeing it. it's stunning. The color is stunning. It catches the eye. It definitely stands out. But so far, impressions are fantastic. By the way, we thought the system was charged, the DIT, so I'm kind of stuck in one gear. I think I'm in a good gear, but chill ride. But I'm getting some good impressions from it. As it turns out, I was not able to manually get the bike in a good usable gear because it would jump down the cassette once I started pedaling, or it would do the alternative, which is to stay in too light a gear that kind of had me hamster wheeling. So I was dreading the lights, man.
Your seat?
Yeah, lift up the bike. Yeah, just lift it up. I need to.
Your gear ran out. It's not charged?
Yeah.
I just learned that trick the other day.
About putting it in a different gear? The dead battery was a revelatory gift in disguise. Certainly didn't feel that way at the time. But having to muscle and torque the bike in the 5212 after every light and turn showed how stiff that bottom bracket junction is. For my money, the power transmission is better than the Tarmac SL8. And when I hit the gas on the SV, it just flat out goes. But this is what I had to say regarding the Tarmac's BB area and acceleration. Concluding statements that I have made throughout the video about the bike, I stand by those. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what I said about the stiffness for acceleration. The bike is equipped with a BSA bottom bracket, and it's not overbuilt, so it's not the stiffest for acceleration based on having lateral rigidity. You don't feel the same robustness of acceleration, or I should say immediacy of acceleration that I get, for example, on a Black Heart Road Tie, that titanium bike that I trialed on the channel. They're based on the same geometry. And the Black Heart Road Tie also has a T47 or an oversized bottom bracket. So you definitely feel that immediacy of acceleration from the Black Heart Road Tie. And again, I gotta emphasize, it's not that the SL8 is a slouch when it comes to accelerating. It's just not that type of super stiff accelerating bike. And those are my conclusions. By contrast, that BB386 on the Sempre Veloce is massive. I know, testing must be done, right? Yes, I get that. But I also felt what I'm saying. On day 2, with the batteries freshly charged and the full range of gears back in business, I jumped into a very fast group ride, unwittingly, albeit, to see how the SV would behave at speed. I've got no speed data because the DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro didn't make the switch over to daylight savings time, and the numbers were just way off. But suffice it to say, this is a very fast ride, and we were moving along on this stretch of road between 26 to 32 miles an hour, and you're just gonna have to take my word for it. I've featured this ride on the channel before. It's a Taft Street group ride. It's kind of like a simulated race where they will be trying to drop you. And I gotta say, the bike acquitted itself really, really well. Acceleration was great. The bike was very responsive. Stability with the buffeting winds coming off of other riders did not upset the bike. In fact, it was super stable. And it was comfortable. There are, some road imperfections, some patched up potholes and stuff like that, and the bike just went over them like they weren't even there. One of the things that I think aids in that absorption is the seat post system, which has kind of like a rubberized damping system towards the back of the seat post, inside the seat tube, that allows it to flex into it slightly. I'm sure that mutes some of the rough stuff. It's a great road compliance system. All right, continuing my initial impressions. It's kind of like an effortless feeling that the bike gives when you're rolling along in a pace line like this. And we're doing 21. Really nice and chill. And there's a bike, this bike reminds me of a lot. I'll show you.
Hey, yeah, baby. Ow!
Noteworthy features are a full carbon frame and fork. Frame weight is 780 grams in a size 53. You get a fully integrated cockpit on that Fuga bar, more on that in a minute. There's something called the Ultra Torque Expander, which weighs just 34 grams. Basso damping seat post system, universal derailleur hanger. There's a claim that the bike can take 35 millimeter tires on 25 millimeter internal width. These are a set of 32 on 34 millimeter internal width, a little bit tight to me. And Basso offers a 5-year warranty upon registration. Yeah. Found it. There's a lot I can talk about regarding the features of this bike, but I'll actually wrap it up with a brief on the bars. I fell in love with the Levita, which are found on the Diamante, largely because of the support I felt while in the drops. This Fuga bar is 37 centimeters at the hoods with a 6-degree flare to measure 40 centimeters at the drops. It's got a 65 millimeter reach and 115 millimeter drop. Perfect. The Fuga also features a 1% backward sweep, and that exposed UD carbon is positively mesmerizing. It's like a dream bar. In conclusion then, it seems like we've got a contender. A bike, well, let me say this. The bike is fast, and it is a bike that is very easy to get comfortable on so that you can go fast, which I guess is the entire point of the exercise. The bike exudes quality of construction immediately. When you first push off, you're like, this is a quality bike. It is responsive without being twitchy. It is vertically compliant and laterally stiff. Literally, what more could we ask for? Plus, it's a looker. So that's where I'm going to leave my evaluation. Time will tell how good this beast really is. Let me know what your thoughts are on the bike so far. And I know, people are going to sound off about my comment in terms of this bike being better than the Specialized Tarmac SLA. Don't be mad. All right, guys, I appreciate you guys supporting the channel by watching these videos, liking, commenting, and subscribing. And as always, our aim here is to inform, instruct, inspire. Be blessed.